people? We are back. It is A2TP, the podcast 121, and we are back in the building for another episode of us. It's your boy International Walk.
It's your girl Tosh, the co-hostess with the mostest.
And we are back.
With episode 121.
You guys can catch us on A2TPodcast.com, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Anchor, Breaker, Google, YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, all those places where you get podcasts. If you search for us, we there. I did, and I'm there. So you can watch us. Get right to it. How are you?
I'm good. Sit up a little bit. Get your posture together. I like good posture. Yeah. I just want your back not to hurt. I wasn't like trying to tell you what to do.
I thought I was looking a certain way.
No, my back was hurting. I didn't want your back to hurt.
Rectify your back. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Mentally, I'm a 9.
A 9?
Yeah, I probably could be a 10, but I'm not. I'm a 9. What do you mean?
A fucking pen. Go ahead, keep talking.
Financially, I'm a 10. No complaints. God continually blesses us, and I pray that He will also allow us to be even more of a blessing to others in whatever way He sees fit. My job is...
You said mental was a 9?
Yes, mental
Finances
was a 9.
Was a 10?
Yes, and my job is a 9.
Job is a 9.
Yeah, it's jobbing, but you know what? My husband prays for me every day to have a good day, and he says if it has to be a hard day, what would you say? If it has to be a hard day, give me the strength to get through it. And I really feel like that is working, and the day is what it is. And then physically, I'm gonna say I'm a 10. I feel good.
Damn.
At this moment, nothing is hurting me. The issues I was having with my hand and my arm really, but kind of my hand too. I've been doing physical therapy, and I'm a little teed off at the American healthcare system right now about various things. But what I can say is my physical therapy has been a plus, and I know physical therapy is one of those things that it's unfortunate. Well, I guess like with any kind of medical care, it's subjected to the provider that you get.
Yeah.
Because it just is like how good they are, little tips and tricks that they may know, how focused and dedicated they are. And I feel like my physical therapist, I didn't know her before I knew her, but she's really good. And even when scheduling appointments, like one of the appointments, it was like, oh, well, she's not available at this time. Do you want to pick somebody else? And I was like, no, I don't really know her, but she's been good, so I don't want to change up.
Right. So what that means, without having a baseline, this is like your first PT, physical therapist?
No. When I was having back, when my back was bothering me some years ago, probably like 2019-ish, I'm thinking, yeah, because the pandemic was 2020, so it was like 2019. I went to physical therapy then, and it was good then. It was, I don't feel like it helped as much as this is helping my arm. And this is helping my arm.
But that's not a cure though,
No, I definitely know it's not a cure.
You still might need to get cut, although you don't feel like that should be on the front burner. You still might need that. Like carpal tunnel don't go away. It gets worse with age and still doing the same job.
That's a HIPAA violation. I just said my arm hurt and you gave me my diagnosis.
We can blank that out, baby.
I'm joking. But no, I absolutely know it's not a cure, but it's helping in unexpected ways. And just the knowledge that she's giving me as well. Because some of the things I do, like, it doesn't feel like it's related to my arm, but the knowledge that she shares, that she's imparting on me, is really helpful. So overall, I feel I'm a 10. I'm good.
Okay.
How are you?
I am.
No, wait.
What?
How are you?
I'm good. Mentally, I could say I'm back up to a 9.
That's good.
Finances, I would say, is always a 10. Thank God for His blessings. Work, I would say, is a 9. I threw something away at work today I wasn't supposed to, and I got to get people to get it out the dumpster tomorrow.
Isn't that great when you have people that you can get to go trash digging for you?
They're not gonna like it, but you gotta go get it. Physically, I feel like a 10. I feel good.
Oh, we matching today. We're aligned.
Don't nothing hurt. So yeah, I'm all good to go mental wise, and body-wise.
We are aligned. That is awesome.
Wows and woes, ups and downs, blacks and whites, stops and goes, do's and don'ts.
My wow, it's just, I just feel good, and God has just been, God is faithful as he always is. I did some fasting during Lent. I think I talked about this before, and my fast wasn't food, but it was something else personal to me. And I really stuck to it. And I feel like God does reward us for our faithfulness. And me and God had some conversations, some good talks during that time, and I've just been praying and asking him for some things, and I feel like as I allow him to order my steps and me surrendering and trying to follow and listen, that I can feel it, and it feels good. So that's just my wow. I know I'm being a little evasive purposefully, but that's just my wow.
Okay.
My woe. Can I have 3 woes?
Nope.
All right. My biggest woe, I'm going to say, I have never been a person to deal with insomnia. And this maybe really ain't insomnia, but something is going on where I have not been able to sleep good for like the last 4 to 5 nights. Meaning that like I go to bed and I'm in the bed, going to bed at a good time, but I feel like when I wake up, it feels like I've been at work. Like, not that my mind is thinking about work, but it feels like I'm having 999 dreams, doing things. Like, it feels like I'm still busy. And when I wake up, my body doesn't feel tired, but my head is just like, oh my God.
You're going back. Why don't you shut your head off, though? It's a difference between laying down and going to sleep and shutting your mind off.
I swear I'm not, like, thinking about stuff. And that's where it's, like, confusing to me. Like, where is this coming from? I'll tell you, when you left this morning, I went back to sleep, and I had, like, a good 3 hours more of rest to get. But I woke up I don't want to say the time. Like, y'all don't need to know what time I'm here by myself. But I woke up at the 2-hour mark, and it felt like that 2 hours felt like the most solid sleep that I've had in a while. And it was just like, oh my God, my head like went to sleep. And so I don't know what's been happening at night with me. Maybe we need to get some more of the melatonin gummies. But that has been my woe.
Junkie.
Like, come on, like, just go to sleep. But guess what I did?
Got the monkey on your back.
Guess what I did?
What?
I'm starting to read again. I bought me a book. So
why don't you just read the book that you had that you didn't finish?
What book?
The other book you bought. You didn't finish any of them. So why don't you just continue reading, but finish the book?
I don't know. Viola Davis book. Like, I only have a little bit to go.
Read Stephen A. Smith. Read.
I want to read something that's interesting. Not a biography or autobiography, or not a self-help book. Viola Davis book was good, but it was so sad. Like, I know her ending story, like, she's doing well and like, but I got tired of like oh my God, the sad life. But I got me another book, and I'm just going to keep trying to be a reader.
Okay. Let me know how that works out.
What's your wows and woes?
Because she can't read. My wow is that me and one of my closest friends, me and Danny had a little spat at work, and we fixed it. So that was just like, a lot of people see 2 men, black men, Latino men go at stuff, and it still be a beef, and it still be something that, extra there. But it was just good to see, like, in my own personal life, that conflict resolution, and you can settle things. We work together every day and do a lot of work together. So, shit get chippy sometime. And him being my mentee, things got a little heated, but we fixed it. And I feel good about that. It just, the whole situation, it just made me feel good. So that's one of my wows. My woe is that it's just been a lot of death this week. Harry Belafonte, Jerry Springer, and Emmett Till's accuser died. I don't even want to say her name, but just, when people say death come in threes, it really do. You just got to search for it. but most of the time it does come in three. And I know because when I hear people die, I always look for two more people, and no matter how obscure it may be or not germane to my life, it still comes in threes most of the time. I'm not saying like one person don't die here and there, but
Yeah, I mean, no, I get it, and
it's like one of them things when you look for numbers, you can definitely find them.
right. That's how I was like, because you figure
Numerology. If you look for numerology, you can find it.
well, okay, but the death come in threes. You're right. I think, like you said, when you look for it, you can find it, because to some people who like may have had like an uncle die, and then they hear that, they might be like, okay, well, that's four people. Are they supposed to look for two more? But I get what you're saying. Like, usually when we hear about the bigger stories, yeah, it has proven time and time again to that theory to be true.
Right.
One of the things I was going to say about you and Danny, I'm proud of both of you as black men in general, and just people. So often people have conflict and they don't communicate, and they let it smolder,
fester,
and it either the well, when I say smolder, I'm thinking of like a fire, and then it either blows up to be a bigger issue, or it fizzes out and the friendship dies, when it's like, fixing it is good. And I always will have respect and admiration for Danny, well, because he's your friend too, but also when you were having a rough time during, your downtime, and I reached out to him without hesitation. He was like, I'm there. And I respect that.
He's
like
my guy.
that will, and Eddie too, but I didn't have Eddie's contact information, but without hesitation, knowing that, you guys get off early on a Friday. It's Friday in general. People want to start their weekend, and here I am saying, hey, can you hold up whatever plans you might have, or your weekend, and can you kind of detour to do this for my husband? And without hesitation, he was like, I'm there. Like, he didn't even ask. It wasn't no questions, no, I'll think, like, I'm there, and that was it. And that I will always appreciate and respect. So
he's that type of person. He's a loving friend. He's that type of person. He's my guy. I love him. So yeah, he's that type of person. I would do the same for him if Linda called me and he was in trouble or he needed some type of assistance.
But, and I appreciate that. And even though, and I don't want to belabor the issue, but even though you say he's that type of person, so like it's kind of expected, because he respect, y'all have that relationship. It sometimes, and it's probably our fault as humans to have expectations on other people, because sometimes you have expectations, or you just think that people are going to do or act a certain way, and they don't. Because don't get me wrong, I have friends and people that I love who, when you weren't well, they was on my phone constantly. Even people who I may not talk to regularly, but just, we have a good relationship, and they knew. It might not have been a daily check-in. It might have been, a couple weeks after the situation. What's up? How Jay doing? How... Then I have some other people who I thought, we had a better relationship, and after they were aware, they never asked about you at all. And I'm not saying people are obligated to do anything. I guess sometimes, and again, this is probably my fault, and I'm sure y'all do it too, your fault as humans, we just have expectations of people, or we expect us out of people. Mm-hmm. And you learn your lessons. And it's crazy, because I thought to myself, like, when a situation came up, like, nah, like, I don't want to be that person. It's hard, but I don't want to be that person to return the same energy. I'm going to be me, but I'm not going to forget. And not saying like, oh, I don't mess with you like that. But it matters to me when you show me that or people that I love don't matter to you. And I know sometimes people can look at it like, oh, well, people might be praying for you and all that. And I get it. But when people are going through a hard time, hearing from people, that support goes a long way. And I'm not a person to really reach out and let a lot of people know about what's going on in my life anyway, or to ask people for I'm never asking anybody for anything, but even to rely on people for support. Other than my husband, it's either going to be Toya or Sierra. Like that's really it. So I'm not really like reaching out and leaning on people like that. But it just sucks. So I go back to Danny. Yes, that's your friend, and while it may be not surprising because he's that type of person, I still want to give him his flowers because I appreciate and respect him for being there for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's Danny. Um, Shout out to Jamie Foxx's family. Well, I don't know what's wrong with Jamie Foxx, but he in the hospital, all fucked up from a medical emergency. And I saw some skit today of him, and it, just like, damn, how talented that dude is. So shout out to Jamie Foxx's family. I don't think we ever discussed that on the show.
Can I say something about Jamie Foxx?
As long as it ain't long, we got to get into the show.
All right, it ain't long, right? So everybody know Jamie Foxx, an actor, comedian, a singer. His first album, right, it didn't really do that great. And then his second album came out, and it was awesome, which made me think to myself, let me go back and look at his first album. And this was probably a couple years ago. His first album, I guess, because now at this point later, he's successful in all these three areas. His first album was like $100-something, just because it probably was one of them collectible things to be like, nobody was really on it at the time, but now that he done blew up, people like me were probably thinking, oh, let's go back and get this. Yeah, I was like, wow, that is crazy. I wonder how many people actually bought it.
I don't. Jerry Springer died last week. Did you watch his show? Was you a fan of Jerry Springer?
A fan. I was a fan of the chaos, the ghetto-ness, the ratchetness. Fan? Yeah, I watched.
It wasn't like something that you tuned into every day, but you kind of grew up with it
when
too,
I
right?
caught, yeah.
As you got, I did too. I grew up watching Jerry Springer a lot. Yeah, and I didn't know that he was in politics and all that shit first, but I say all that to say, like, I grew up watching his show. You grew up watching the show. There's a lot of other people who grew up watching the show. But as you got older, did you think, like, or has the thought come into your mind that his show exploited broke people and kind of showed them at their worst? I mean, you got like $300 to come on the show, which is why I use the word broke. So to go on there, air your business, and do all that shit, and so it's not like people who got who had money was going on the show. So that's why I say that.
Exploiting them. I think that I would use that word very loosely because people went on there willingly. I would look at it as exploit if it was a situation where somebody was like secretly filming somebody in their worst situation and then use that for financial gain.
But he used the genre. He used the genre of, okay, the chaos amongst this demographic of black and white people is what sells. So let them get on the show and go crazy. So I'm exploiting that.
Yeah, I mean
obviously they come on there voluntarily, they get paid, but I'm just saying it's like years and years and years and years and years of that. And it's like the first 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years was like, okay, like you said, I'm with the foolery and all the bullshit. But as it goes on, it's like, damn, like these people are fucked up. And like, why are they on here exploiting and getting naked and fighting and doing all this shit like for a couple $100?
I mean, he did, but I don't blame him at all because you figure, all right, even if you want to say within the first couple seasons or years, like, yeah, but like after a while, people knew what it was hitting for. So, he did. I definitely think that he did. But again, it was voluntary. By that point, he almost at some points, if I can remember, like he used to look like he was sick of the drama. But he was there.
He kind of stared away from it, and like other people, like say like the dude that's married to the Chinese lady, Maury Povich. He kind of did the same kind of chaos show, just geared in a different like
who's your dad? Like
a genre of TV, all paternity tests, and you're not the father, and you are the father. Like he did that shit for 25 years, but it's still the same chaotic jump up, run around, got to break up fights. This is your baby, like all that kind of shit.
Isn't he still? I mean, I see his page.
I think he started to get away from it too. I guess because of society and this culture, how everybody gets so sensitive.
But
So
no,
I
the
think,
reason why I said I think he still, I don't know on what platform or what
no,
channel.
it still comes on.
Okay,
I'm just
because I'll
saying,
see him in the comments sometimes
yeah,
on
it
like
still
the
comes.
shade room saying, you need a test,
Yeah,
like
it still comes on. He still does the you're not the father shit, but it's like old now, and I don't think he likes it that much. So it's not as dramatic as it used to be.
I mean, again, I think they both exploited, people who were there for a couple dollars or for I won't even.
People, a whole lot of people. Like,
Yeah, but what I'm saying, they may have exploited them for, I won't even say 15 minutes of fame, but maybe 15 seconds of fame. Um, just in the same way that Mona, I can't remember her full name, exploited the black hip hop culture with Love and Hip Hop. I mean, again, it's the same thing. People
is Mona
like,
black?
yeah.
I never seen Mona. That's why I was asking. So is she black?
Okay. I wasn't even looking at it from that angle. Yes, Mona, who is like the owner of that Love and Hip Hop franchise. Yeah, she's black.
So she's of the culture. So it's kind of like.
But does that excuse you? Because she even made a statement how like she would never let her kids watch Love and Hip Hop.
It does. It doesn't excuse the exploitation, but I think you get a pass because it's white people like Jerry Springer and say like a Adam 22, who they're white guys who make money off the black culture. But the second that they want to say they're done with it, they can because they're white and they can go do something else. As Mona, like that's her thing. She created that empire. And I'm not saying that's all she's going to do, but it's pretty lucrative for her to do that. And even if she stops, she's still a black woman, in culture. Like Jerry Springer, if he didn't die, he could just leave and go spend his $50 million a year that he made for 20 years straight because off of black culture. Adam 22 can do the same thing. Like, I don't want to do these podcasts no more. I'm going to do something else. And I made millions of dollars off the beefs in Chicago and people got killed. Like, I exploited that stuff and started beefs on a show because of that. So that's what I'm saying. Like, even on the Jerry Springer show, that not your dad shit or whatever, it's some people who committed suicide. It's some people who got killed over that. It's some baby daddies who hurt baby moms over that. Like, so
I mean, I don't see how that's different from what Mona. I mean, I hear what you're saying. It's a different demographic of people that are being exploited. But I think taking out the white part of it, I think it's people in a higher tax bracket, the entertainment business who are exploiting black culture, period. Because Mona, I'm sure, would never allow herself to be involved in some of the shenanigans that go on. But yet, she's the puppet master behind all of it and has built a franchise.
When you say the white people, do you mean like VH1 or whatever the show comes on?
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. But that's what I'm saying. Just because she's black, I look at her as I put her in the same category as them. So yes, and I guess if you kind of look at it, it's like, is that worse where you got a black woman take, because I think VH1 and Viacom and all is owned by a white man. Yeah. So you got a black woman exploiting our culture, taking it to the white man for her and all of them to profit off of. Now, don't get me wrong, we have to think about also the positive outcomes that have come. Look at Cardi B.
Yeah.
She started on Love and Hip Hop, where outside of New York or maybe people who went to the strip club that knew her, she wasn't this international figure as she is now.
She was just
so
a
that's
known
truly
stripper.
a success story.
And on the flip side, in the TV show, like the spinoffs of Steve Wilkos, like the security guard, like he got a show.
That I never watched, but yeah.
I'm just saying, he got a show, made millions of dollars, was able to take care of his family and shit like that. And I think there was some other spinoffs, I don't think from security guards, but just other spinoff shows. Richard Bay, that's more like a regional thing, but I remember he had a show back in the early 2000s that was just like Springer.
Right. What makes me think though, I was thinking about Maury Povich. He found that niche. Does he do anything else?
No, just paternity.
Okay, all his shows is paternity tests. Okay, wow.
That's what I mean. Like, he found a genre and was like, all right, ain't nobody over here, so let me just keep doing paternity tests. There's a demographic of people who are going to keep coming baby mamas and all, like, promiscuous people are going to be having babies and they're going to need paternity tests. It's a shame that there's people out there who don't know who their baby daddy is.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So that's what I'm talking about when I say that demographic. It's like there's just people out here who having sex. And
well, let's not just say don't know who their baby daddy is. Sometimes
don't know who their baby mama is too.
Well, I was gonna say sometimes the mothers very well know, and the daddies are in denial. So it's both. The daddies just don't want to accept accountability. So it's both sides of the fence. And it also makes me think too when you think about Jerry Springer and Maury Povich. Is that just is that a microcosm of how our society evolved into the ratchetness? Because I was thinking about the talk shows from back in our day, which were considered not to be like serious talk shows like a Oprah or like
Oprah was the serious talk show.
That's what I'm saying. The talk shows I'm about to mention weren't considered serious like that, but they weren't to the level of ratchetness like a Jerry Springer. When you think about Ricky Lake, you remember she had a talk show.
Sally Jesse Raphael,
Tyra Banks. I just recently seen a clip about the Tyra Banks show, and I don't know what the episode was about, but in the audience it was split, and it said, and everybody had on I think a blue shirt, and it said, "Where are all of our gays?" And everybody was like, "Hey, raise my hand. Where are all of our straights?" And everybody on the other side. And it was like, "Where are all of our unsures?" And it was one row on the front. And they had shirts that said gays, shirts that said straights. And the people in the front row all had shirts with a question mark. And that was all of the clip show, but just said, just imagine. Exactly. So you think there was some like level of like ratchetness on other shows, but nobody took it to the extreme like Jerry Springer, and then Maury would be like number 2.
I think people went to those extremes, just not in that demographic. I think Geraldo having the Ku Klux Klan on his show, fighting on live TV, throwing chairs at each other and breaking noses and shit like on TV. At that time in the 90s, that was different level shit.
See,
and again, it's different from Springer because it's a different demographic. It's white folks, but I remember that, like black people from the South, Ku Klux Klan with Grandmaster hoods and shit on, fighting on Channel 6 at 1:00 in the afternoon.
I have a vague memory of it. I remember more the conversation about it than watching the show, but I do remember seeing him.
Yes, somebody threw a chair at him and broke his nose,
and he had the white bandage,
and he still came back and did the show. So it was extreme at that point to be like, did that just happen? Like, oh my God, it was like Janet Jackson getting a titty out. Like, did that just happen? Like, that's what that was at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just, it's crazy.
So back to the original question. Do I think that he exploited the people? Yup, he did. But, we enjoyed it for the ratings.
I'm not saying it to downgrade him.
No, I understand. Yeah. I'm just saying for as long as he did, he would have not have lasted. I remember looking, and this was probably around the time, I had to be like 18. Like wanting to go see the show, and it was in Connecticut. I never did. Like I went to see Wendy Williams like quite a few times. I went to see The View a couple times, but it was that's when I knew it was in Connecticut, and I used to think like, oh wow, how can I go? Just to kind of like be in the audience. But I will say part of me too was like, I want to kind of like be in the back so I'm not really seen.
Those in those rooms where they film them shows are small. I could imagine like
people
start picking up chairs and start humming shit. It's like this could get like a bar fight in here. Yeah. You see how he ended up with the broke nose.
And I'm sure because from us going to shows, you didn't go to The View with me, but you did go to Wendy. You see how behind the scenes they tell you like they're doing like this to tell you to clap. I can imagine behind the scenes they probably like say rah, like when people would be
they
booing
have signs
people.
that say applause and boo and shit like that. So something that's hitting the net this week is Ebony K. Williams had did a podcast, and she was asked the question of would she date a bus driver, and she said if he owned the bus, and she got a lot of flack for that. Because her status, and that's just her choosing and her opinion on what she wants. But then she doubled down the next day, like, and answered everybody, like, I would not date a bus driver. The status I am in my life, I make millions of dollars, and a bus driver, their salary wouldn't even pay the taxes I had to pay this year. So I'm just on a different level, and I would want a guy who owned a bus company, not a bus driver. So just your thoughts on that, because there is a part that I understand with that as you break it down, and this is where I'm at 39 years old, and this is what I'm doing. Okay, cool, that's your preference. Everybody can have one. But there is I hate to keep using this word, a demographic of women out there who just want finances, who just care about what a guy makes. It's like love has been lost in the world because I can't mess with you. First off, you can't come up and say hi to me. You got to meet by social media. That's number one, but not to harp on that. When we do meet, you got to be a certain status for me to even give you play. Like, I want things from you. That's the start of the relationship. Like, what do you have? What can you offer me? And now there's a thing where women, they're starting to shit on the question of what do you bring to the table? And you hear a lot of women saying, I don't want to answer that question no more. Like, I bring me to the table.
Yeah. So one of the things, like when you talk about her demographic, I love the fact that Ava DuVernay, who I would think, when we talk about demographics in class, like
she's in her 50s.
but still, I'm talking about, we're talking about like financial status, that demographic.
The 1%.
She was like, send the bus driver my way, and I love that because I feel like
Ayana said the same thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, Ayana was doing the interview, right? But I'm just talking about people who commented. I feel like people are so focused on aligning pockets, they're not worrying about aligning hearts and minds of people.
Right.
Like
love,
you said. Yeah. And I'm not going to say love isn't part of it eventually, which is crazy. Like, people are so focused on the financial part. Now, let me say this. I understand, like, if the question was, would you marry the bus driver? You can kind of look at that differently. But Ayana asked, would she date the bus driver? Right. And the thing is, like, okay, dating him, you don't know what his next move is. It's this guy, and I don't know him personally at all, but I've seen his page on Instagram. He actually was a bus driver. And then he started, like, working part-time, like the trailers that transport cars. He started working part-time doing that. Now he no longer is a bus driver, has a full business, but worked his way to that. And that's what I think people...
But that's not every bus driver.
No, so just of course, I'm not saying it's every bus driver, but for her to just exclude every bus driver...
No, that's what I'm saying. Is that a problem?
I think so. To be completely... to completely exclude that population, I think it is a problem.
It's a civil service job, which is thought to be good in society. And what's wrong with a guy who, if he treats you good, if he's good to you, if he loves God, if he goes to work every day, if he comes home and shares his paycheck with the household and takes care of everything to the best of his ability. What happened to that?
But not even that. Before we even get there, because again, we're talking about dating. So y'all might be in two different households. So when she talk about his check won't even pay her taxes, sis, pay your own taxes, because right now y'all are just dating. This is just your boyfriend. Y'all may work together. You don't know what that man's plans are for the future. Or, you could see him driving a bus and he could be looking at you thinking like, damn, she's a beautiful woman. I'm interested. He could be a retired person who decided, let me pick up this part-time job to put my child through college because I don't want them to have no student loans. So let me pay for like, he could be driving that bus for any reason and not be financially insecure, but you just exclude that whole population because you see them driving a bus. I think that's so shallow.
That's my point. It's the fact that what if he just driving the bus for 30 years and he just a dude with a pension, but he's a good fucking man.
And he about to live a life cruising on his pension.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's like, what happened to that? Like, we meet, we date, we get to know each other. And if we get to that, and if her statement led me to believe that she's looking for somebody to build with, to marry. Because she said, I wouldn't date a bus driver. And you brought up the question, would you marry one? To me, it's all the same. If you're her, because it's like, I'm not looking to date. I'm 39 years old. I want somebody that I can build with and possibly get married. And I don't have time to be with the bus driver who got this plan that I might have to invest in and wait for him to bring to fruition. And that's not every bus driver that's going to end up with a fleet of trucks or whatever that is. But I don't see nothing wrong with a bus driver, a water company man, a carpenter, a guy who walks steel. Like, what's wrong with a blue collar guy who does what he's supposed to do? Like, why do you have to be looked at now because you're blue collar like you just don't have enough?
Well, I mean, so that I think
and that's by a big portion of society. Like, I'm not saying it's all women, but it seems like it's what you see. I'm not saying it's most women. It's what you see a lot is, what can you do for me? What can you give me? Where the restaurant you gonna take me? Fly me here. And then I could think about, do I love you?
Well, all of those things are important, but they shouldn't come before love, because a woman wants stability. So don't get me wrong.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
I'm not saying, again, the reason why I delineate between dating and marrying, because you could date this person and yes, he may have dreams and goals, and her being presumptuous, thinking you might have to invest, he might not want your money, sis. He might have his plan together and be working towards his dream, whatever it is. His dream just might be retirement, but he may not want your money per se. So he may want to work towards marriage too. And if y'all are dating for 2-3 years, when it's time to get married, he may be in a position where, oh, this is the man for me. Now, I will say there is a difference in a woman of a certain financial status marrying someone who's in a different financial status, because you have to think about what is the lifestyle that you're living and if you're willing to sacrifice that lifestyle. Just an example, you can have a blue collar worker who has a great career in any of those jobs that you mentioned, driving a bus, Pico, PSC&G, water department, wherever. If you're living on the main line, let's just say, in a condo, and he can't provide for this lifestyle that you have, I don't think it's necessary. Now, if a woman wants to sacrifice that to be with this man, all well and good. I don't think it's necessarily fair that she should have to if he can't afford her lifestyle. So that when you're talking about marrying, yeah, it may be a difference, because then you think like, okay, the lifestyle.
Why can't you be the breadwinner? It's like, what happened to when two people meet? It's like, it used to be, we have the faith in each other that we're going to be what we want to each other. That's what happens when two people meet. I like you, you like me. I think you're going to be nice to me and treat me well. I think you're going to be nice to me and treat me well. That's why we're talking. So what happened to that? It's like, it's everything. It's finances. Like, yeah, you got millions of dollars, but you like me. You think I'm cute. You think I'm handsome, whatever. Why can't we talk? Why is it got to be like, if I'm going to come over your condo, I'm going to come over your condo. What do I have to provide, like, to be in that world, to be in that lifestyle? Now, to play devil's advocate, for men, it can get, just because I'm a man, I know it can get a little ego-ish. Right. That's not a word, because as a woman like her, if you're Ebony K. Williams and you're messing with a bus driver, when she starts to take you to White House Correspondents' dinners as a date, and you're around other men who are on a different level, who are lawyers and doing well like her, you may feel like, damn, like, I'm around all these niggas and they doing so much better than I am. That shit can fuck with your ego. Mm-hmm. So that's there too. But you shouldn't. You should just be comfortable in your skin and be like, I'm here because this is my date, and but I'm just saying, it's there. I understand. But you shouldn't be like that. Like, you shouldn't let that consume you. But you should just be like, I'm here. This is my date. I messed with her. She got millions of dollars. But it's like, what happened to the...
But I mean, so finances matter.
When you say provide and you live on the main line, like, okay, we just met. What do I got to provide?
I'm not saying, that's what I'm saying. That's why I said dating is one thing. But if we're talking about marrying, that's different. Because even if, let's say, okay, the man is the provider, even if they decide we're going to split the bills, hell, and no shade, because he may have a great paycheck, but his paycheck may not even be half of what her mortgage is. So then how do you look at,
if you have $50,000 a month in bills and I make $8,000.
That's what I'm saying. So that's why.
But maybe I can do other things. Like, maybe you handle the bills. I'll pay for the bills that I can afford. Like, if
And,
I
but
had,
as a, you
maybe
talk
I
about
can't pay
ego.
your $12,000 mortgage, but as a man, I think to myself, okay, like I'll do other things, but I can't pay a $12,000 mortgage.
So as a woman, you think like, okay, a part of me picking a spouse is for them to be a provider.
And again, I
and
think she has her
be.
preference. I'm not bashing her because she has a preference. Everybody has a preference, and I respect it. Some people like tall people, skinny people, fat people, light-skinned people, dark-skinned people. So everybody has a preference.
But I just
That's
think
not the
to
issue.
Exclude that whole category of people,
and it's
I
blue
think
collar.
It's
It's not just bus drivers.
Yeah.
It's blue collar
Yeah.
people. So it's anybody that's equivalent to a bus driver she wouldn't date.
You know what? So
and it might be love there. You might be missing your blessings.
Not only that, so I fell into a wormhole today with this page where it interviews couples on the street, and the videos are each like, I don't think more than 60 seconds, and it just asks how they met, their love story, what's your pet peeve about the other, what do you like most about the other. And this one couple, they had been together, I want to say 50 years, and they met. She was the assistant to like some big time star. He was a mailroom clerk, so he used to deliver her mail every day. And he was like, she was very pretentious, and he used to deliver her like all her magazines and stuff working in his office. And one day he like mocked a phone call or something that she was on when he was walking away, and she like jumped on his back and was like, who the F do you think you are? Now mind you, this is an old white couple. But one of the important things that she said in their story, when they asked what was important about like how did they last, is you gotta like the person. It's much easier to love a person than it is to like a person. I can love my enemy because God told me to do so, or I could love somebody who I have a bad relationship with because I have love for them. I just may not like them right now, whether it's family, friend, whatever. And I just thought that was important when you think about a relationship. It's so easy to love, not so easy, but it's easier to love somebody than to really like them. So to what you said, people aren't even giving themselves an opportunity to find out, do they like a person? It's like finances first, then maybe your appearance, then whatever
sex.
Else for sex.
Because for the finances, they're going to want sex. You're grown.
Yup, your money, how you look, then sex, then
do I
like you? And it's like,
can we have a meal together? Can we sit and watch a show together?
Can we have a conversation?
Can we get into a situation where we might have to think on our feet so I can see how you are with
move,
shit? Yeah, like, can we go through a crisis so I can see your problem solving
skills? Do we
skills?
have fun together? Are you even a fun person? Like,
that kind of shit is just left.
People aren't thinking about those things. And one of the things too, which I agree, is this in this society, so many people are meeting online, whether it's DMs or apps and stuff. But I love the stories that you hear when it's like, wow, people just gave somebody a chance. It was this one story, people in line in the airport, and that's how they met. Like, the guy asked to get in front of the lady said no, blah 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 blah. But it was like just giving people a chance, and so many people won't do that. It's like, don't talk to me, or don't just be approaching me. Like, women, and I'm not including myself, but I'm just saying we inclusively, we got nasty attitudes a lot of times. And some people who are single, they probably always gonna be single because they don't think it's them. They think it's everybody else. They think it's all the men. Not saying that the men ain't bad. From what I hear, is pee and poop in the dating pool. But women, sometimes we gotta check our attitudes.
And that's just people dating. And coming to the next topic, loneliness is just as bad as smoking 15 cigarettes per day. There was a woman I saw on TikTok, I think, that was crying into the camera about how nobody touches her. Like, she's like, I have lots of friends and family, but I sit and I think about how many people touch me. Like, my mom don't hug me, my brothers don't hug me, like, my friends don't hug me. And sometimes I could see, 15 to 20 people a week or a day, and nobody hugs me. And she was like, I'm starving for hugs. And she was in tears, like, I don't know what to do. I think about this all the time. And it's really true. Like, you can be lonely and a hug it means a lot. Like, it feels good. It means a lot. It does something. It transfers energy. And for people not to get hugs, I think that's super sad. Like, I wanted to get in contact with this lady
And give her a hug.
and give her a hug. Like, I hate seeing women in distress and crying like that. But she was like starving. She even used that term, like, I'm starving for hugs. Like, this is not a sexual thing. It was just like, nobody hugs me. And one day I'm sitting around and I'm just thinking, when's the last time I hugged somebody? And she couldn't remember.
You know, so it's...
But to say that that's equivalent, that's how bad being lonely is. It's like you smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
It's killing you.
It's a pack and a half.
So a couple of things. We've been watching Jeopardy. We used to watch it all the time and we kind of stopped, but we started again. But one of the questions the other day was about Maslow's hierarchy and the question of needs. That is social interaction. It's not just like, I mean, now some people are just complete social butterflies. And you have some people on the other end who are very much recluse for whatever issues they have. But it is a biological, a physiological need that we as people need other people.
Yes.
Whether you have one other person or whether you have a gang of friends, family, whatever. We are not beings that were meant to be alone.
That's
like,
why there's so
our
much
life
pack
just
mentality.
hasn't been created that way. So
that's really also why it's punishment in prison to be alone.
Yeah.
Because they know
psychologically it messes
it breaks
with
you down. Yeah, that's why. It's exactly why there's a hole. That's exactly why you go to the shoe, because that's a punishment to be alone.
During the onset of the pandemic in 2020, somebody that I know, and we're acquaintances. Like, I've known her since I was a little child, grew up in church together. She's not married, has no children, has no siblings. Has, like, mom and dad, grandparents, aunts, whatever. But she's older than me. She had posted on social media, like, during the middle of that year, and she was like, damn, like, I just wish I could hug somebody. And she was like, because her family is older, because of immune system and stuff. During that time, we just want everybody to be safe. So people really were staying away from each other. And she was like, I just want a hug. I just want to see somebody. And it just made me think, like, damn, the things we take for granted. I remember during that time we were together, but you remember how bad I wanted to see the kids. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, damn, just to get a hug from one of the little people. But thank God I had you. And then another situation that you just made me think about, I used to have a team member, and this was before the pandemic, when a lot of my team members wanted to work from home. And she was adamant. She didn't want to work from home. And I think it's one of those things where we sometimes judge people in the corporate workspace that where you realize, like, oh, work is this person's social life. Like, you can just kind of tell by their interactions with people that they come to work because this is not just for their job, but like this is the highlight of their day. And I've started to realize after the pandemic again, this was one of the last people who they had to kind of force to be like, all right, now, before there was like a wave of them sending people home. Now it was like, all right, you got to go home. She absolutely hated it, did not want to be home. And, she had went out on leave for a little while to be away from work because it was messing with her mentally. So, and again, she has no children. She has no spouse. She has siblings and stuff like that, but she lived alone. So that it's a real thing. And I think we as people who have never had to be lonely, we kind of take it for granted.
I don't take it for granted. And I think it's not like, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but it's not like breaking news. Like, people know being lonely hurts. Like, people know being lonely, especially people who are lonely. Like, they know how bad it is. And it's a lot of lonely people in the world. It's a sad fucking thing that you have friends and family and people you might can go out with, but when you go home, you just by yourself and don't nobody check on you, and you ain't got nobody to go to bed with, and you ain't got nobody to eat breakfast with, and like all that shit is a shame. And I'm sure it does something to your mental space. Although you may be functioning and going to work and doing shit, you're stunted in a way because you're not and don't get me started, you're not socialized right. I'm not either. But I'm not just saying I recognize my shit. But for other people, it's like you're not socialized right.
That's probably those people who are early, show up early for work, the last to leave, or they walk around the office before they leave saying bye to everybody. They probably stop at Walmart and every place before they get home so that they can spend minimal time. And people they probably talk to all their neighbors
because it gives them something to do. Go see more people in the market.
Right.
Let's talk how we normally talk. Well, not that we ain't been talking, but let's like really talk. Do you trust white pastors? Don't get me wrong. Just playing devil's advocate. I've watched the Joel Osteen. Joel Osteen got some slaps. I've been entertained by him on a Saturday morning in my life. But do you trust white pastors?
I would not. I don't know any that I do. Like I haven't been exposed to many, but I'm not going to
keeping it real big.
No, I'm absolutely keeping it real. Like I don't know any that I do trust, but I'm not going to say that I wouldn't give one a chance. Like I don't trust most black pastors. So I'm saying.
I'm saying that too. I don't trust white pastors and I don't trust black pastors either. Like I wouldn't trust a white pastor because you haven't lived my experience. And I think that's germane to teaching me about God. Because it's the black experience. It's different from a white experience. Black pastors I don't trust at all. I just read where a mom stopped going to a church because the pastor texted her fucking daughter wanting to fuck. So shit is crazy in the church, but I don't trust white pastors. I ain't ashamed to say it.
I don't think it has anything for me. It has nothing to do with. I mean, when I think about my relationship with God, it has nothing to do with me being black. It just has something to do with me being a human and being His child. So I don't relate. I don't have a lack of trust in white pastors because they're not black. Because in our conversation, like, or I won't say our conversation, but in the lessons that you're teaching me about the Bible is for everybody. Like,
but your perspective might just be from the European Christianity. Like it might be like you can go to a white Christian church and it'd be totally different than a black Christian church. And I'm not talking about the choirs and the hollering and the long service, but the lesson. And you can kind of relate better in a black church to where in a white church you might be like, okay, that was out the Bible, but I didn't really get like he just was talking. So, and it's still Christian, it's still your religion. So that's where I'm saying it could be a difference. For me, I don't trust it.
Yeah, I mean, again, I haven't been exposed to many, except for like
I haven't been exposed to any of them, but I'm just saying
I'm
I don't
saying
trust
like except for the Joel Osteen,
right. I would trust Creflo Dollar before I trust Joel Osteen.
Yeah, nah, I'm not.
And you know he's slick as a fucking $5 bill.
Creflo and Taffy. Yeah. I'm not saying that I do or I don't. I'm not saying that I do or I don't, but I'm also not saying that I won't. I just don't know any. So they would be put to the test. Like I have to feel that like what you're saying to me isn't BS and that it's from the Bible. Whether or not I can relate on a social level, that does add something to it. But I just want to feel like, because in my app that I do my daily Bible reading, every morning it's a different speaker. Right. And this is very shallow, but I know that I am less receptive based on, I don't even want to say how the person looks, but sometimes I have to be able to understand you. If there's a language barrier,
it changes for me, because if I got my eyes closed and somebody's going to give me a scripture about out the Bible, it's going to hit different for me if I'm hearing an Asian voice or if I'm hearing a white voice if I'm hearing a black voice. So I'm going to think that the black person is going to give it to me where I can digest it better than they can. Not that the lesson isn't there. I'm just saying I might not be able to relate to it because of where they're speaking from.
No, I agree. And I feel like that sometimes when I'm listening to the little, 2-minute video that comes along with my Bible lesson. But it is even sometimes when it's a black person and I feel like, this felt like I was watching a newscaster. Like it didn't hit home like that. So I don't think I probably would have more trust because of relatability in some black pastors, but I wouldn't say that I wouldn't completely exclude white pastors. I just don't know any.
Okay, moving on. I don't trust them. There's Siamese twins on the internet. These two girls, I think they're 19 years old, and they're conjoined at the waist. They share a vagina. They look like a Y. So I'm not trying to be funny, but that's a visual.
Right.
They look like a Y.
They have independent bodies
Right.
and just two legs.
One has a boyfriend. What does the other one do when one is fucking?
So you know what? This made me think, right? Like, I get it where...
And we got to get through this to get to the grams. Come on.
No, I listen, I get it in terms of one has a boyfriend, the other doesn't. Because mentally, they could have two different personalities. Like, you know, you might not can stand the one on the left, but you love the one on the right just because of her conversation. She might be blah, 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 blah. But to your point, and you may kiss and smooch and all, and the other one just may be over there minding her business. But when you have sex, I'm wondering, can't they both feel it? And
Right.
how
They
does she
share
stop
a
herself
vagina.
from moaning and stuff?
They share a vagina. So that lets you know that they both can feel the one vagina. So that's what I'm saying. Like, what does one do when the other one's having sex?
I don't know. What does she do? She probably lays there maybe with a
Does
pillow
she
and
look her
blocks
sister
her.
in the eye?
No, I think she turns over and like minds her business. But how does she stop herself from the involuntary responses, like the moaning?
It's my vagina too. Like, there's a dick in my vagina too.
That's right. So she probably can stop herself from the affection part. Like, if I'm not looking and but I feel it.
What if I'm hating a little bit and you about to have sex and I don't want you to and I don't want to get wet?
They may have.
Like, it's my vagina too, so I got control over it. I got emotional control over it. If I don't want to feel sex or feel like laying down right now because your boyfriend here, I might be mad at you.
I'm sure more than any other group of people in the world, they gotta have an awesome communication system because. And I'm not saying this. Well, maybe I am saying this.
What if
what if one says they feel like they was raped because they didn't feel like it, but the other one, she was in agreement?
What if one wants to masturbate? What's the other one do? What if one feels like flicking herself off and
I don't know.
The other one's like, that's my vagina
Again,
too.
they have to have some kind of agreement, alignment. But see, what makes me think, I don't know, I guess all the nerves are connected. I don't know, it's very interesting. What
But
happens
if you share
if
a
one
vagina,
gets
it's
pregnant?
my vagina too. Like, you can't just have sex with your boyfriend because it's my vagina too. Like, we share it.
But what if one gets pregnant? Who's the mom?
I don't know. I don't think they thought this out when they started having sex.
And, all right, she got a boyfriend and she got a boyfriend. So now when she has sex with her boyfriend, he's really having sex with his girlfriend too. Like, are y'all okay?
And then you have
would the
sex twice in a day?
Would the boyfriends be okay sharing a vagina?
And that's not nice to have a woman have sex twice in a day.
And then
You
if she
share
got
one
pregnant, how do
vagina.
y'all know who's the daddy?
So it's like, I'm going to have sex at 2 o'clock because my boyfriend Eric is coming over.
No,
And
y'all
then
gotta have a system.
Bob is coming over tonight.
No, y'all gotta
at
have
9
a
o'clock.
system. Bob gets every other Saturday. Joe gets every other Sunday, and then we split Monday to it gotta be a system. It gotta be a system. Again,
I also want to know if you share a vagina, do you share a butt?
I think so. So, oh my God. So who has, that makes you, because they have two different stomachs. So who's the one that has to poop?
Mm-hmm.
And if the other one doesn't have to poop, I got to be in here while you poop?
You learned anything?
I did learn something. Oh my God. I thought about it at the beginning of the
Was it about fucking Pluto?
What? Yes.
Okay, she learned.
Yes.
All right, you learned about Pluto.
No. Listen.
We don't have time. Go ahead.
So, and I'll bring more information to you guys. So many people talk about Mercury retrograde and how that impacts our emotions and feelings. But I did some research because I wanted to know what the hell y'all be talking about. All the planets go into retrograde. Mars, Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto, they all go into retrograde. So why do y'all always talk about Mercury? Now, somebody said maybe because Mercury does it more often. But to be honest, I think it's all BS. Because when you think about it, when you look at the calendar, some of them overlap where they all retrograding at the same time. So y'all blaming y'all emotions and actions and feelings and inactions on the planets, and it's really just you. That's what I learned. You ain't learned nothing?
Nope. A white Marine choked a man today on a New York City subway, put him in a 15-minute chokehold because he was screaming and hollering that he didn't have clothes and food. So this Marine jumped on him and choked him for 15 minutes and killed him on the fucking train. He was released with no charges.
Yeah, and I think that, the sad part is, I don't know for sure. The man may not have family.
Did you see the video about the other black man and white man restraining his arms while he was being choked?
Yeah, and that's what I hope that there's more of an investigation done, because if he was just screaming, who are y'all to decide that there needs to be some physical intervention? Like, if he wasn't physically harming anybody, who are you to decide that he needed to be restrained physically and killed?
Because he was hollering, I don't have food.
So I hope that
that's the response.
The city of New York does a thorough investigation to determine what led up to this, and then charge that man with murder, and then the other people with being an accomplice. Because if no one was in physical danger, they shouldn't have touched him.
That's the response to I don't have food and I don't have clothes. Is you choke them to death.
Yeah, that's sad.
So that you got to worry about food, huh? Like, why not just reach in your pocket and give somebody $5
or ignore
like
him? Like ignore
that
him.
shit. And it's in the New York City subway. That shit's like that every day. There's naked people walking around.
Yeah,
you just
I hope
choke
the homeless people band together and protest.
We don't think that the Marine might have some PTSD or something might be wrong with him to just choke a motherfucker just because he said, "I need food." Like, where the fuck is that cool at?
Yeah.
And you white and you're a Marine, so you got some status in society. But what the fuck? Like, that can just happen on a subway. Like, I think I would have stomped that man's face the way he was laying on the ground and choking him if I was on that subway.
Like, get off.
Like, I seen this man holler he didn't want food. He didn't hit nobody. And you choking him and he not breathing no more. I think I would have stomped your face.
Yeah, get away from him.
Like, that's crazy.
And again, rest in peace to him. It's a shame because he probably doesn't have any family. But I hope he does and they come forward. I mean, even though he was homeless, it doesn't mean there aren't still people in this world that care about him. I hope that they are. I hope they come forward. I hope that they demand that there's an investigation.
Second, Graham, I watch a lot of podcasts because I don't like network TV, and it gives me insight to the people that I like and I want to watch and hear like more about their lives. And it's good to see, just because of the results, that my man Boosie, he posted that he was cancer free. Went to the doctor the other day and I guess had some screenings and posted his results and was saying, like, thank God he's cancer free. And that shit just, like, it hits home. It's like, damn, people, like, they really go through shit.
So wait, did he have cancer?
Before, like 5 years ago, he had cancer and beat it.
Oh, I didn't know.
And he was like, I stayed up all night waiting on these results, and he had his envelope from Anderson Cooper. And
MD Anderson.
He had his results from there, and he was like, I'm cancer free. Like, I'm good. And it was just like, damn, like, people always say everybody posts the good shit. Don't nobody post the bad shit. Like, that's something that somebody was going through. And we see him all the time talking shit about people and this and this and that. But he a real person. He a real dude who go through real things. And I just
I just saying to you, we have no idea the things that people be going through.
Yeah, and I just think that's
you only know what people tell you.
Instead of being on the internet talking about gay people and trans people all the time, look, I'm going through some real shit, and I came out good on the other end. So it hit home.
Exactly.
Third, Graham, Prize from the Fugees is an FBI informant. He got hooked up with a fugitive billionaire who stole $3 billion from the Malaysian government. He funneled it through celebrities. He gave Leo DiCaprio a Picasso, gave Kim K a Ferrari, gave Barack campaign money. He paid Prize $1 million to take a picture with Barack, and also gave Trump gifts.
Wait,
The billionaire paid Prize $1 million to take a picture with Barack at the campaign, and it got done.
Okay.
So And they saying Prize is a China. It didn't. He got found guilty on all 10 accounts. He's facing 20 years. Just
I'm
the other
very
day,
confused about this story though. So he's an FBI informant, but then he was charged for not telling
he's
them
an
that
FBI
he was a agent for China.
Because once you get hooked up with the Chinese billionaire, with the Malaysian government and the billionaire, I think you have to register in the United States as. I don't know.
But Malaysia and China are two different countries. What does China have to do with Malaysia and?
I don't know. But he was found guilty. Like, it's past that now. It's past that. Yesterday, I think he was found guilty on all 10 accounts, and his sentencing is like in a month.
You know what's crazy? How this, you said.
And don't get me wrong. This isn't a Prize as an FBI informant like he was taking out rappers in the 90s.
No, I know, but you know what's crazy? This is some shit he
got caught up in.
We just started hearing about this a week ago, but obviously this is something that has been ongoing that they kept really on
I've seen him talk about a case on Vlad a couple years ago, just watching Vlad interviews, and Vlad knows everything, and he brought something up to Prize about something with the government in Malaysia, and it was kind of vague. He didn't really answer anything. Okay. But he was no. What he did say was, it ain't nothing. It's just a matter of how much money I get to keep at the end of this. But it's no criminal stuff. But turns out
obviously it was
some criminal stuff, and you got convicted, and you're facing 20 years, and it's some shit to do with China and billions of dollars. People don't turn their head from billions of dollars.
Yeah, but he probably gonna be at one of them luxury federal camps or something.
You think?
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, I don't think he's about to be in Angola.
Well, Angola's not a federal.
I know, but a prison comparable to that. I don't think so, but who knows? You said that's the third frame. I got a quick question.
Sure.
Would you be in agreement to do a spousal boxing match with me?
You don't want this, babe. And I saw that man. But you saw it in my story. I didn't say I want. I said he was holding some shit in.
I didn't say that's what I wanted. Would you agree?
No, because I can't hurt you.
I respect that.
So no, I wouldn't agree to do that, and I can't hurt you. No, I don't want to even if we had beef and it was let's use this as a way to settle it, to get out aggression, I still would toy with you. I wouldn't hit you for real. Mm-hmm. I would only have to hit you once.
Even if I hit you with all my might, would you hit me back?
That's why I wouldn't do it.
Okay.
Because once you did,
it'll turn on.
No, I'm not saying it'll turn on. I wouldn't hit you, but I'm just saying I don't want to be put in that emotional state.
What if they will be all right, at the end of this, you get $5 million?
I beat the shit out of you.
That's what I'm worth to you, $5 million.
No, I'm just saying we could do a lot with $5 million. I beat the fuck out of you.
Y'all hear this? $5 million. That's the price on my. What's the lowest amount you would go to?
I wouldn't do it. I'm just saying.
And they say give you $2 million.
No. $2 million, I would look at you.
You would let me make the decision.
Yeah, what you want to do.
But $5 million, you said get in the break.
I'm making the decision. $2 million, I'll let you make the decision. So, no, is the ass whooping worth $2 million for you? By your husband?
We taking the $2 million.
All right,
well, first of all,
I'm gonna take care of you.
First of all, how you know I wouldn't catch you and knock you out?
I don't even want to go there.
A2TP podcast, episode 121. Take us out of here.
It's your boy International Walk.
It's your girl Tasha, co-hostess with the mostest.
If you fuck with us, you fuck with us. If you don't, you should. Peace.
That's the first time you